Got it.
I see a message. Yeah.
Hey, y'all. Hey. Happy Thursday. I am so excited to be chatting with you all today. As promised, I have a special guest, as promised, to talk to us about money. And so as you all come in, drop in a chat, let me know where you're watching from, and I'll give you a shout out as we wait for a few people to come on. Hey, Nikki. Good to see you, girl. Hey, the story of Derica. Nice to see you. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to you. Who else we have coming on? As you come on, can you like the video for me so we can get it started in the algorithm? Hey, Vanessa, great to see you. Like the video, tell your friends that we are on. This is a free live event for you all. And when else are you going to get to talk to a senior vice president? I mean, I can talk to her often, but when else are you going to get to talk to a senior vice president? And I'm super excited that she agreed to share her time and wisdom with us. And so I'm going to go ahead and hop in. Hey, Janae, good to see you. Thanks for being on. Hey, Acacia. Acacia says she's excited for tonight. Y'all, let me tell y'all a little bit about my special guest, because I never said who she was for real. This is my Aunt Danella, okay? And I'm smiling, y'all, because if you follow me on Instagram and you know that when I was doing the No Spend Monday and I started my entire journey in 2018, she was one of the 2 people I called to ask for help. I was like, I'm in credit card debt. This is how much I'm in. Can you give me a strategy? Can you help me? Because I don't know what to do. And she helped me. She gave me strategy. She walked with me along the journey. And she's been one of my biggest supporters. And I'm so grateful. I know. I'm so grateful. And so I want you all to know that I haven't always been where I am financially, but I did have to open my mouth and ask someone for help. That meant I had to swallow my pride. I had to tell her, hey, this is all that's going on here. I had to be honest. And it was in that transparency, it was in that vulnerability and honesty that I got the help that I needed and also the support. And now I am able to help so many people because my aunt helped me, right? And I wouldn't have been able to be where I am had she not helped me first. And thank you, Aunt Danella.
Can I just say, the thing I remember most about that journey and when we first started talking was going from hiding the credit cards in the Bible to then getting the strength to cut them up.
Yeah.
That sticks with me. And I mean, that was it 8-10 years ago?
No, it was 2018.
Was it? Time is such a blur to me now because I'm retired.
Right.
So, you know.
Right. And she's retired. Right. So that adds icing on the cake, right? One, you're a Black woman, senior vice president of a bank.
Of a bank.
Of a well-known bank.
Of a well-known Chicago bank, for sure.
Well-known Chicago bank, yeah.
But we do have an international, well, I say we because I will always be a part of that family, but they have an international presence, so.
See?
Yeah.
So as y'all know, every month I try to bring on a guest speaker, someone to, you don't want to just hear from me all the time. I want other people to share their wisdom with you. And because y'all know I go hard about money, and I'm always aggressive about talking about money, I'm like, let's get somebody else to do it this month. And so we are talking to my Aunt Danella, who is a retired senior vice president of a bank. And she is going to share some financial wisdom with us, but also share her journey with us. That's really what it's about, sharing her journey and some things that she's learned along the way. Because if she can do it, if I can do it, we can do it. You just have to put your mind to it. And Absolutely. You can't believe the lie that you can't do it and everybody can't do it. Right. Yep. Right. And so, okay, Aunt Danella, tell us a little bit about you.
So I won't tell my age, although I'm quite proud of turning 61 this year. And I think I'm more proud of that because I've got a lot of friends, unfortunately, who are still working at 60 plus, 65 plus, and don't see retirement in the near future. And some of that has to do with financial planning or not. And I worked really hard to be able to take a step back when I turned 60 and say, that's it, I'm done. I've worked 40 years. I think 40 years is a good number. But I also wanted to make sure I'd be able to live comfortably and not, it makes me so sad when I go into some of the stores and you see the 80-year-old or 85-year-old, even if they're Walmart greeters, right? And you don't know if they're doing it because they're bored at home and just want something to do, or if they really can't make ends meet financially. And even retired and getting Social Security, they still have to work some kind of job so that they don't have to make decisions like, do I eat or do I buy my medicine? And so, I worked for this last bank for 35 years. It was my fourth bank.
Wow.
And I intended to be there for 2 years because I was on this, where do I want to land? Where do I want to be? And so I did 2 years at 3 other banks before I landed here. And 35 years later, so I guess that was the one for me.
That was the one for you. Now, were you always interested in finance? Like, how did you get into it?
Yeah, so it's interesting, you and I chatted, kind of talked about some questions. And one of the questions was kind of how did, my interest in finance and so I've already told you how old I am, which means when I was 7, 8 years old, that was pre-direct deposit. It was pre-ATM. It was the time where people got a hard copy paycheck and walked into a bank and cashed their check. And so I'm from the South Side of Chicago, and there was a pretty well-known Chicago bank, Seaway National Bank, on the South Side of Chicago. And back then, when everybody had patience and, we were a caring bunch, I would go with my grandparents, and the tellers would actually let me fill out the tickets. My grandparents had to do the signature part, obviously, but they would let me fill out the ticket. And so I knew from 7, 8 years old that I wanted to be a bank teller because that's the only thing I knew about working at a bank, which is not uncommon. People hear banking and that's the first thing that comes to their mind. So I knew very, very early on that I wanted to work at a bank. And when I graduated from high school, against everybody's better judgment, I took a gap year and didn't go straight to college because I wanted to work at a bank.
Okay.
And I put in some college applications and I put in some job applications. And a downtown bank reached out and offered me a position. So of course I took it. Never went away to college. College came later in the evenings, the hard way, right? It would be easy to just do it and get it over with. But that's kind of how my interest in banking was born. And it's unfortunate that we don't have those kinds of interactive experiences for our very young people. I read recently about a grammar school that's on the west side of Chicago that actually once a week they have this kind of bank come in and the kids can open their little savings accounts.
Wow.
That, even if they've got 75 cents, they can deposit their 75 cents into their account. And I think it's the greatest thing because it plants the seed very early on about money and how to save, which was not a seed that was planted with me because I grew up in a household where my grandparents raised me. You knew that. My grandfather was a general contractor. He was a very, very busy, very popular general contractor. My grandmother was a stay-at-home grandma. So he didn't work the traditional 9-to-5 job where you get a paycheck every week or every 2 weeks. He got paid as he finished the job. So in my childhood home, cash flow was constant. It was every day. It wasn't necessarily big money, but there was always, well, we'll do this tomorrow. Because when granddad comes home, he'll have some money. And he did every day. So when I got my first job, I didn't have a frame of reference for making money last a period of time, like from paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
So, my first job, I was super excited. By day 3, I was broke every week because you plan for what you're going to do when you get paid.
Yeah.
Saving money wasn't part of that because we didn't save money in the house that I grew up in. We just waited for the next windfall and did whatever we wanted to do. And so I had to very quickly adjust my thinking about money and how to spend money and having money in your hands and what that means. So it was a tough lesson. And it was actually my grandfather who kind of instilled the bad habits in me that made me kind of turn around, because when he saw what I was doing, he refused to loan me money to make it to the next paycheck.
Oh, yeah.
So I had one horrible week in my life where I borrowed money from every friend that I had just to get to work. There were days I didn't eat lunch because I didn't have enough money to get to work and home and eat lunch. It was a painful week, but it was the first thing that shifted my thinking about money.
Wow. Wow, I didn't know that. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I love that you said that when you saw the teller and you wanted to be a teller, because the first memory that just came to my mind was when I used to go grocery shopping at Jewel Osco, and I'm like, I want to be a cashier.
That's how you see it. And, you kind of romanticize certain things.
I want to be a cashier.
Yeah.
But then I had a second grade teacher and I said, I want to be a teacher. And then that is what I became.
Yeah.
So, okay. So
thank goodness you had a second grade teacher that you liked.
Because I was going to be bagging groceries.
You were going to be jewel bound.
That's my highest goal. I want to be oh my gosh. My mom would be like, oh, hey, yo, my mom just jumped in the chat. Say hey to my mom. Hey, mom. So your earliest memory with money was your grandfather and how he spent money. Okay. And
it was how money we didn't seem to be short on money, but there was no planning for the future. It was just, oh, we survived today. Okay. And tomorrow he'll bring more money home and we'll do, so it wasn't a great relationship with money or start to a relationship with money, but that was the field he was in. That was the way he made money. We never didn't have things that we needed.
Okay.
We may not have had them yesterday, but we'd get them today.
Yeah.
But it was just a tough start for me in terms of understanding how to manage.
Yeah. And I didn't really understand how to manage money until 2018, really. Right. And, I don't think I knew the value of money, really. I just knew you go to work, you get your check. Savings wasn't even in my vocabulary. I wasn't thinking about savings. I didn't know people really had savings accounts and things like that. And so I'm like, then, you just work and just spend it all. You're going to have more month than money. Yeah. Right. This is how it goes. And then I'm like, no, this can't be my life. It has to be something better. Right. Yeah. And so what lessons would you say that you really learned from your grandparents or maybe even people around you about personal finance?
Yeah. So it's interesting because I learned the most about money from people who didn't have money. Right. Yeah. Because there weren't a lot of people trying to teach me the right way, but I was very observant and I saw the wrong way. And so I learned the things not to do and kind of by default, the things to do. Yeah. And I love that you share the things that you learn, because it's much easier to learn it if you've got somebody pouring into you rather than kind of reactionary to, oh my God, they just lost their house. How did they lose their house? Let me not do that.
Right. Yep.
So, that's why I'm always excited about seeing what you do, because pour it out there, right? Because knowledge, it's not a pie, right? Just because you give away some of what you know, that doesn't mean you have less.
Yes.
So, and I think if we embrace that, we all have something to give and something to
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one thing that I really wanted to do. I didn't ever want anyone to say, how did you do it? I wanted to take people along the journey with me to see how I did it. Now it's uncomfortable to
the blood,
show
sweat,
people.
and the tears. Yes.
It's very uncomfortable, but I wanted to say, okay, this is how I am doing it. I am one from among you. I didn't always have this, but I just said, Brianna, you have to get control of your money, because when you have control of your money, some things you just don't have to think about anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
That's absolutely the truth. There is a peace and a comfort in the safety net.
Yeah.
In knowing I can spend what I have today, because over there, which I'm not touching, there is comfort.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so, I talked about kind of my first tough lesson with money. And so then I started getting my life together, my financial life, right? And then something happened. So my grandfather passed away. And my grandmother got very sick to the point that we couldn't care for her at home anymore. And so she had to go into a nursing home. I don't know how many of your audience are from Chicago, but I'm sure this is everywhere, right? You've got really great nursing homes. And then you've got these awful places that like bring tears to your eyes when you step through the door, even if you don't have people there, they're just horrible.
Yeah.
And so my grandmother was in the hospital. She got transferred from the hospital to a nursing facility. I was at work. I gave the okay, because based on the quick research I could do, I thought it was a really good place. The day ended, my workday ended, I went to the place and I was overcome with grief and guilt. This place was horrible. And so the next day I had her moved to some place that her Medicare didn't fully cover. And so I subsidized her stay so that she could be in a place that I felt was worthy of her, because my grandparents brought me home from the hospital, right?
Oh, wow.
They raised me from day one. So there was nothing that I wouldn't give back to them. And so eventually, unfortunately, my grandmother passed away. So I had this debt that I had accumulated from subsidizing her stay there, and I filed bankruptcy. I had a 720 credit score, which is not crappy, because I was able to pay my bills, minimum payments only, on time, and pay what I needed to pay for her, but I had not a dime left.
Yeah.
And so once I got past the grief of losing my grandmother and kind of the grief of my financial state, I filed bankruptcy. I drew a line in the sand and I said, okay, this is it. Let's erase this. Now it's your time to start and act like you got some sense.
Okay.
And that's what I did. And so that really was the turning point for me in terms of my financial health.
Wow. And you were still working at the bank during this time?
I was working at the bank yeah.
Wow.
Yep, I was.
Go ahead.
The nursing home that I had her placed in was in downtown Chicago, just north of downtown.
Okay.
So you can imagine what it cost.
Yeah.
But it was also close enough that if on lunchtime I could pop in, because, for all of you guys, if you've got loved ones in a nursing facility, the family's presence is critical. It really impacts how your loved ones are treated. I know that's kind of sidetracked to the topic that we're talking about.
No, it's fine.
But I wanted her close enough that I could pop in at any time. And so, and I got off track, and now, my retired brain, I don't even remember where I was going. You asked me a question. What was the question?
I was going to ask you, because I asked you, were you still working at the bank during that time?
I was, yes.
And I was going to ask you, how did that feel? Did you feel like you were an imposter or living a double life or anything?
Oh, I felt like I was a failure.
Yeah.
Because although my heart was very at peace, because what I did for her, I still didn't stop doing things for me, but it was on credit cards, right?
Yeah.
It was stuff I really couldn't afford to do because I made the commitment to take care of her.
Hmm.
But there was a therapy that I needed. I needed something out of this.
Yeah.
I think that's why I had, once she passed away, I had to deal with the grief of losing her, but then also my own grief and guilt of how I handled my finances.
Yeah.
And that bankruptcy was the best thing. It's tough. There's an emotional component to it, but it was the fresh start.
Hmm.
And so everything was wiped clean. And I didn't get off track. I made the commitment. I did the budget. I made it count, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do something that drastic, make it count.
Yeah. I can totally identify with feeling like a failure because when I started the journey, I was a few months after graduating with the PhD. And so there was this high moment and I was like, yes, this is great. But then I get into my career and I'm like, no, you have not made it. And the reality set in, like, you can't keep running from this. And I felt like a failure for the first time in my life. And that was hard to reconcile with and deal with.
Yep.
And, then I, self-loathing, self-deprecation, like all of these thoughts.
The depression.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know if I can do it. I'm gonna have to get out. But I knew that I couldn't do it alone because I didn't have the tools to do it. Like I didn't know where to start. And that's when I hit you up like, I don't know where to start. This is the issue. Right? And I think I cold called you that day.
You did. You did. Very serious, very solemn. Yeah.
I said, who do I know that may have money or know how to deal with money? And I called you and I called my cousin who's an accountant and you all gave similar advice.
Okay.
But I was like, I just don't know. And I got to be honest because I don't know how to start. And, you're like, all right, so this is how you do it. You're going to start here, list this out.
Yeah, no judgment.
I really appreciate that, I didn't get this judgy feeling from you. Like you were supportive, like, thank you for coming to me. Let me tell you what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that because I was already feeling bad.
Let me tell you what I know based on my experience.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it helped. And we still are able to talk about it. I'm like, I got an 800 credit score.
Man, that credit score will give you heartburn.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So true story, because I monitor my credit score, obviously. But I bought a new refrigerator and dishwasher about just before Christmas.
Okay.
And my credit score dropped 25 points because I put it on my Best Buy credit card because they were, I could get $50 in Best Buy gift cards. I don't carry credit card balances.
Right.
So I was going to pay cash for it, but I ran it through the card because I wanted to get the free gift cards.
Yeah.
Right? My credit score dropped 25 points. Literally, it wasn't on my credit card 2 weeks before I paid it off. It took 1 day for the credit score to drop 25 points. It took 3.5 months to get that because they gave it back incrementally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been.
So it's good to watch your credit score, but you don't be so obsessed with it day over day because it does go up and down. Mm-hmm. I never left the exceptional category.
Right.
But, I worked really hard to get that number. And, they should know that I was going to pay it off because my history is paying it off. Yeah. I wasn't happy that day. I think I drank 2 glasses of wine.
It's like that sometimes. You got to take a nap.
It is. It is.
Take a nap. Love that. Okay, so based on your bank, when did you start in the banking industry? You started as a teller?
No, actually, I started in the tax division. So I was doing corporate taxes.
Okay.
When I first started at the very first bank.
Okay.
And then the other 2 banks, I was in kind of a benefit payment, retiree monthly benefit payment group.
Mhm.
And then I had a number of jobs in the 35 years that I was at the Northern Trust, but the last job that I had was managing a group who managed the pension plans for insurance companies.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And so, I was there 35 years. I managed people 25 of the 35 years that I was there. And that was kind of that was my thing. I enjoy developing people. And so I worked in a couple different groups, but it was always in a management role.
Cool. And then at what age? Oh,
You
when
can
did
at
you
what age?
when did you become the senior vice president?
In 2012, I got the senior vice president. Yeah. Yeah. So the last 10 years that I was there, I was the senior vice president.
Wow. What does that even mean? That's a monumental.
It means they can fire you much quicker. There are levels, right? So the first level is trust officer. And then it's second vice president, senior vice president. And there's compensation that goes along with that, but there's a certain acumen that they look for that you have displayed, especially when you think about representing the company.
Yeah.
And so it does come with some cut the cord quicker kind of things, but it really is just recognition for the work that was done. And there is compensation and stock option kind of things that go along with that. So, there's a reward that goes along with attaining it when you can finally get it.
Cool. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. And the next one would have been executive vice president, which currently in an organization of 10,000, there's only one Black female executive vice president.
Wow. Were you the only Black woman in your? Were you the only Black woman?
I was not the only Black woman senior vice president.
Okay.
But the higher you ascended, the narrower the numbers became.
Sure. All right. So based on all your years and experience in the banking industry, what are some common mistakes that you've seen people make with their finances that have hindered their ability to create generational wealth?
So starting too late, right? And I think, again, when I see you talking about money and financial acumen and, it's never too late, really, but generational wealth comes along with the kids in the West Side School that I'm talking about, where you're getting them at 8 years old and starting to teach them about money, because generational wealth is not always about a senior family member literally passing on money to the next person or assets to the next person. It's the knowledge and experience and the know-how as well, right? Because hopefully I gave you a little bit of a start in your generational wealth by sharing the knowledge, right? Didn't give you literal money, but it's not like I have literal money like that, but
girl.
But it's about starting as soon as you can.
Yeah.
And I think one of the mistakes people make is they think they don't make enough to save.
That part.
Right. And you don't have to save hard note size monthly deposits to a savings account, because savings really starts as a behavior, as much as it is about the money. And when you start to save and you see the savings grow, that's where the motivation comes from. And that's where you start making those decisions about, so I've got $787 in the bank. Ooh, $13 more or $27 more. Do I buy this bottle of wine or do I put this money in the bank? Because now I can get to $800. There's motivation in seeing it, but you gotta get started.
Yeah. And that's so true, because before I started my savings account, I'm like, I don't have enough. I'm never going to have enough. And I believe that once you tell yourself you're not going to have enough, you're going to start behaving like you don't have enough. And so what I've started to do is, after I give my charitable giving at the beginning of the month, the next thing I do is transfer my money into a savings
yourself. Yes.
Yeah. And I wasn't doing that at first. I was paying all the bills. I was giving the charity or to the church and paying all the bills. And I'm like, I don't feel accomplished. I don't feel like it was my money.
Yeah.
And now that, I know about high yield savings accounts, which we talk about, I'm more aggressive over there just because of the interest rates.
Yeah.
But like, I can't imagine not saving every month. Like that may mean that I started doing, in 2018, I did like no spend Monday, but now because I want to save more, I don't spend 3 or 4 days a week. And so all of the money that I would have spent, I just put it over there. It is hard to discipline myself for that.
It's a behavior. It's a behavior you have to learn. It does take discipline and it takes sacrifice. You do have to sometimes make those this or this decisions.
Do you think that, and this is not one of the questions, but I'm thinking about mindset, the I deserve this mindset hinders people. Like, I deserve to do this. I deserve to do that.
But so the answer is yes. But I think it's because they don't have an appreciation for what that cushion in the bank, because you deserve to have that peace of mind.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's not the tangible instant gratification thing, but there's so much comfort and there's a word and it's escaping me, but there's so much, you can't tell me anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have to worry about that.
I don't have to worry about it. So it's not understanding that and treating that as an object like you do the car or the whatever thing makes you feel accomplished.
Yes.
Because like now, retail therapy for me is putting some money in the bank.
I love that.
I throw it in the bank and then I sit back like, ha.
Let me go sip my wine with my feet.
Exactly, because that's the thing that's important to me.
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing that allowed me to, at 61 or at 60, because I've been retired a year now. It's been a year.
Wow.
To kind of just step away and enjoy the rest of my life.
I love that because
you've got to do it because Social Security, as we know it today, if it's around when it's time for you to retire, it will look different.
Yeah.
And it's funny. So at 62, which I'll be in January, I'm going to pull down my Social Security. Okay. Now I could wait till 65 because I'm actually leaving some money on the table by pulling it down early. But it's my money. I don't know what Social Security is going to look like in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And also, I don't have children, right? So I don't have any systematic beneficiaries that will get my money, when my time comes. So I need all of my money to come in so that I can do the things that I want to do in terms of my immediate family and anything that I want to set up in terms of, the younger people in the family and things for them. So, and it's considerable, unfortunately. It's about, and I mean, we'll speak openly. It's about $800 a month that I'm leaving on the table.
Wow.
Take it now versus 67. But the other thing is, what if I don't live to 67?
Yeah. Yeah.
What if I die at 65? Then at least I will have collected 3 years of that money because nobody's going to get it when I'm gone.
Right.
So I did a really good job of managing my retirement accounts when I was working and preparing to retire. So I'm confident that I'll do the same when it comes to my Social Security. And then at 65, I get a raise because then Medicare kicks in and I no longer have to pay for medical premiums. In my head, right? But this is part of budgeting too. I have it all mapped out in terms of when things happen and what that flow looks like. And the same thing with budgeting.
Yeah.
It's a really, really important thing. You've got to visually see what your financial life looks like to really have control of it.
I definitely agree with that. And I'm so glad you brought up retirement because I think sometimes people in my age group, and I'm only 33, unless you're in a career or something like that, you're not really thinking about retirement, right? And I do have the retirement account with my job, and they give me 100% match, which is great. And it's
Yep.
been great over the last 5 years. But then I started thinking about, okay, maybe you need Roth IRA and, things like that. And it's so fascinating because my elevation went from, I just need to pay off this credit card debt to maybe now I need to be thinking about investments. Now I need to diversify my money. Now I need to do a Roth IRA when I didn't even know what a Roth IRA was.
Yep.
Prior to last year, or I didn't know what a high yield interest rate savings account was prior to last year, right?
Those look really good, don't they? Those high yield savings accounts.
I have one that's earning 5.15% right now. I'm like, well, this is amazing.
And it's funny as it relates to those savings accounts. One of the things when we talk about generational wealth and just kind of getting out of debt and making your money work for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is, people always talk about streams of income. And I think they think about streams of income as active streams of income.
Yeah. Yep.
Those are passive streams of income that I'm going to save some money anyway. So why not put it somewhere where it's going to earn the most?
Yeah. Yep.
And that takes a little bit of research.
Yep.
But it is so worth it.
Yep. Yeah, I did a blog recently and I just said, this is my favorite passive income strategy. And it was a high yield interest rate account. And, you don't have to worry about it. It's safe. It's there. It's just earning money. It's earning money for you parking it there. You're going to save it anyway. Right. And so when I discovered, okay, maybe it's a lack of knowledge that we, perish, that's the Bible, but also we just don't know certain things.
Yeah.
No one really talked to me about it, but I had to go seek out the knowledge and, figure out who has information that I need that can help me. And then as I continue to take it on myself, the responsibility of financial stewardship, then I was able to learn more. And I'm like, hey, you know about this? And you're like, yeah, check this out and all of these things. So you go from level to level. I mean, from different levels. And so I really love that. Because so many of Black and brown people feel like it's unattainable.
Yeah. And that's why I say you don't have to save large amounts, right? Start by saving small amounts.
Yeah.
Change the behavior of not saving to saving.
Yes.
As a first step.
Mm-hmm. Because when I first started, I was doing a Dave Ramsey plan and he was like, save $1,000 and then pay off all your credit card debt and all this other stuff. And the mindset behind it was $1,000 isn't enough anyway. But I need you to get to this point that you have something there so that if something comes up, then you're fine. That $1,000 was the hardest thing for me to save at first. Like that $1,000, it wasn't it. Like I was like, I ain't gonna never save this $1,000. And then, as I continued on, I'm like, now I can save in multiple thousands of dollars now because I disciplined myself to cut back, to eat in the house. You got food at home.
Yeah.
But also use my gifts to bring in more money so that I can save more. And it was a journey and it was hard. But now it's not hard because it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
But when none of your friends are doing it and your family's not really doing it,
And you don't know. Yeah.
And you don't know.
But you have to get through that first 6 to 12 months of pain in making the adjustment and the decision to change and just stick with it. It will pay off. And if you just have to put your face in your pillow every night and cry, it will be so worth it in the end. You mentioned investing. And one of the things that I wanted to just make sure to get across was, when you get to a point where you've started to save and you want to do some investing and, the Roth IRA. So I have a Roth IRA and it is one of my accounts that I play around in the stock market, right? Look for stock that pay dividends.
Yep.
So when you talk about those passive income flows, that's another. So you buy the stock, you watch the stock, your money grows, but there's this. And most of the time, unless you're investing big money, they're not huge dividends.
Right.
But they're constant.
Yeah.
Right. And it's money you're not working for.
Yep.
It's money that's just money making money.
Yep.
And so look for the money making money, not the pyramid scheme kind of things, but really the legit money-making money kind of
Yeah.
things. You know, one of the best stock I ever bought was Amazon.
Yes.
Amazon shows up to my door every day. Now, that was one of the things
Absolutely.
my grandfather told me. And my grandfather never bought stock,
Mm-hmm.
but he was interested in it. And he said, if you're ever going to buy stock in something that you're interested in, that means something to you.
Yep.
Of course, I bought Amazon stock. You know,
Yep.
I'm on the first name basis with all 17 of the Amazon drivers that drive out this way. So, you know,
Yeah.
just and you'll be interested in watching it also.
Because it seems that when I first got into the stock market, I'm like, this is impossible. I'm never going to be able to learn this. This is wild. And then I was like, oh, it's second nature. So I love Amazon. And I started with the companies that I use, Amazon, Apple, you know, I have all Apple products, Google, you know, and all of these things. So I started there. And I was like, I don't know how this works, but I think you just put money on it and, you know, you keep doing it and you keep doing it. And so I do have my brokerage accounts where I, you know, am more maybe a trader, short-term trader or whatever. But then I have my IRA when I'm like, I'm not touching this.
Yeah.
These are core stocks. I'm invested in the S&P 500 because I've had to learn the lesson. Like I did take some losses in the beginning of investing, but they weren't egregious. They weren't outrageous. I wasn't just throwing my money away like that.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad you also mentioned retail therapy. Your retail therapy now is putting money in there because retail therapy is how I got myself in credit card debt, right? I needed to go to real therapy. But I was just buying stuff I couldn't afford and kept buying. And I just felt worse.
Yeah.
Right. So there was like emotional issues and, you know, money won't solve it.
Money won't solve it.
Money won't solve it. So, okay. So we have, generally people who watch me, they're on maybe two ends of it. They're either trying to get out of debt or they're trying to build generational wealth, or they may be in the middle.
Okay.
What advice, do you have any advice for people trying to get out of debt? We could start with them.
Yeah. So you've got getting out of debt, you've got saving money, and you've got planning for retirement. And you have to do them all at the same time. It might, so getting out of debt, I guess, if we start there, you've got to understand interest rates, right?
Yeah.
So we talk about interest rates from the standpoint of money in the bank and making sure you put your money where you can earn the most interest. But, you know, we are in such a cycle right now with interest rates going up, you know, 0.25%, 0.5%, 3-4 times a year or more, that you have to be very focused on how much interest are you paying on the debt that you're making. And if you're trying to get out of debt, I've not always been a proponent of starting with the highest interest rate card or loan or whatever. But we've not always been in this kind of state.
Yeah.
If you've got $5,000 worth of debt and it's 17% interest, and you've got $1,000 worth of debt and it's 25% interest, I was not always a proponent of you going after the $1,000 first because it was a higher interest rate. I wanted you to get that $5,000 down because compounded, that 17% on 5 is going to be more than the 25% on 1,000. But now I would say tackle the biggest interest rate debt first, because we're going to see a couple more cycles of increase before we turn the corner.
Yep.
So getting out of debt from that perspective, pay as much as you can. Obviously, pay the minimums on the cards that, you know, don't not pay anybody. But try to get that under control from the highest interest rates on down. But you also have to save at the same time, which sounds a little counterintuitive, right? Because why would I put savings over here and earn 5% when I can put that money over here on the 25% debt? Because saving is a behavior, you've got to start as soon as you can start. Again, don't put thousands of dollars in the savings account when you've got thousands of dollars in debt, but simultaneously work on them. Because as you get this debt down, you loosen money to do something else with. If you're already in the mindset of saving, that switch from paying debt to saving is much more natural,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then the retirement piece, the Roth IRA, or if your company has a 401k and they do a company match, that's free money. If you can max that out. So when I was at the last bank, it was 6%. Every 6%, I maxed it out because that's free money. That's like the 5% interest that you're earning on the money that's sitting in the bank anyway.
Yeah.
So definitely take advantage of the company match.
Yeah.
But you've got to manage those three balls at the same time. Get that mindset in gear to save. So that you have real money to save, it's already a natural kind of mindset.
Yeah. I love that, because sometimes I feel like it's counterintuitive for me right now. Like, why am I so focused on the future? I got a lot more years, but then I'm like, no, you actually don't have as much time as you think. You know, your future self will thank you for focusing on retirement, you know, even though it seems like you're taking a hit in your present day life. No, you can't do everything you want to do, but you are setting yourself up for less stress in the future.
Yep.
And sometimes
And wouldn't it be great to retire at 50 instead of 60?
Yes, it would.
Yeah.
It
There
would.
are things I wish so I'm saying don't wait too long. Start as soon as you can. The one regret that I have is that I didn't do that sooner. I mean, I'm okay. I'm doing fine, but I would like to have retired at 50.
And $20 goes a long way. And I think that's what a lot of people think. Like, I don't have a whole lot of money to save or a whole lot of money to put into retirement. Your coffee money goes a long way.
It goes a long way.
Yeah.
Make that pot of coffee at home. Get you a travel cup and take your coffee with you instead of stopping at Starbucks. It adds up.
It adds up.
And everything is going up in price. Like, I don't even know. I don't drink Starbucks coffee because it's too strong for me. But I'm thinking it's $4 or $5 a cup.
More than that. Yeah, we may start at 5.
And what if you have 2 a day?
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of the week, that's $50 in a bank account because you decided to get a coffee maker and make coffee at home. And get the milk frother and get the foo-foo stuff you need to make it what you want, but you're still paying only a fraction of what you're paying in the street. You know, and it's funny, when the pandemic was on, so I like food. I don't have a lot of vices, but eating good food is something that I've always enjoyed. Well, during the pandemic, we weren't going out. And I wasn't even trusting when they started delivering food. Like, if my restaurant doesn't deliver the food, I'm not an Uber Eats fan.
Yeah, me either.
There's too much stuff going on.
Yeah.
And so I was missing my Chinese food. I am the best Chinese. I think I could go in a Chinese restaurant, go in the kitchen and cook as well as the Chinese chef that I'm standing next to. Now that the world is opened up, I still cook my Chinese food at home.
Oh, do you?
Not only is it cheaper, I control the quality of the ingredients that go into it. So, you know, just those little things make such a huge difference.
Small sacrifices go a long way.
Small sacrifices, yes.
Small sacrifices, because it's not really the big ones, right? The grand things. There's the small steps that actually help you sustain the life you want and set you up. So if you can save your coffee, I make my coffee at home. It don't taste the same, but it is what it is.
And it's okay to treat yourself to a cup of coffee out every once in a while. Like, this is not about full deprivation.
Right, sure. And that's sorry.
No, I was just going to say, but like you said, those small steps. If I'm spending $50 a week in coffee, let me get 2 cups a week instead of 10 and make the other coffee at home. Net, I've put $30 in the bank.
I love that you said about self-deprivation, because when I was trying to get out of the debt, it was full on self-deprivation, like full on cut back, don't do this. And I'm like, I can't sustain this life. But when I started to build wealth, then it was a different mindset at that
Yeah.
point. Right. And so it wasn't like you have to punish yourself. It was now you get to grow and build wealth. And I'm more prone to that.
But so spending is kind of like an addiction.
Sure. Yes.
Cold turkey doesn't work for everybody when it comes to moving from not saving to saving. So sometimes you have to 12-step your way through this spending thing and just go cold turkey.
Yeah.
You're going to fall off. You're going to see something you want and you buy it. And that's okay. Because if that becomes the exception rather than the rule, then you're headed in the right direction. So you do, though, have to kind of draw a line in the sand and say, starting June 1st, whatever it is, I'm going to put $25 a pay period in the bank.
Yeah.
And same thing with your budget. You've got to write the budget. You've got to check in with the budget every week. Like you've got to adjust the budget as things change. You have to stay in touch with it, your tools, as you are repairing your financial and even beyond repairing.
One thing that I know that even when I was trying to get out of consumer debt, it was a challenge for me to start telling people no, because apparently I was a people pleaser, didn't even know it. And, I had these goals, but that didn't stop people from asking, right? And I had to learn a hard lesson to say no. Like I have to say no to you now so that I can probably say yes to you in the future. What advice would you give people who may be trying to navigate that no season and, friends and family mad because you can't show up, you can't do something?
Yeah, you have to not care. No, serious. And I know that sounds cruel and I don't mean it to sound cruel, but just like you were saying, I would get paid and I'd pay all the bills and I'd tithe or I'd give my charitable and I never gave me. Like there was nothing left for me. You have to put you first.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to support you 25 years from now when you are unable to support yourself.
Yeah.
The other thing is everybody has within their power to be financially responsible. I'm choosing my words carefully here.
Yeah.
Because there are people that we know that do everything that they're supposed to do. And sometimes things just happen.
Yeah.
Those are the people you tend to lean into a bit and help if you can. There are people that Carson's had a sale and I needed this leather jacket, but now I can't pay my rent. Person had the opportunity to make a better financial decision. It is not your fault that they didn't, and you don't get to suffer because they didn't. It's unfair for them to put that burden on you. So when I say you have to not care, you are not making the decisions, the bad decisions for people. It's not your job to get them out of those bad decisions.
Okay, thank you.
I don't find that hard at all to say no.
Well, that's probably personality
over time.
That's right. You done retired now. You're like, oh.
Yeah, because now it's like, well, I'm on a fixed income. I don't have that.
That's hilarious. So do you have any tips for people who are thinking about building generational wealth?
Yeah, so again, start as soon as you can, right? Start now. If you've got younger people in your life, start pouring into them now. Because again, you may not have a pot of gold to leave them, but leave them financially educated so that they can make good, smart decisions and start when they're young.
Yeah, because that reminds me of last year. When I started opening my Roth IRA, I gave all of my siblings $100 to open their Roth IRA, and they may, they're younger than me, they're in their 20s, but they get to start sooner than I started, and it's up to them to keep it up. But they still have this idea like, this is for retirement. Like you have to be thinking about the future and not just the right now.
Yep, the long term.
Yep. And that was my contribution to them to help them get a leg up, to start building wealth on their own. You may not know all the way, but I'm going to give you the seed money to start. Right.
And And
And
then the other thing, so, we talked a little bit about investing. You don't
yeah.
have to actively invest in that way in the stock market. There are mutual funds.
Mhm.
One of the things that, as I was kind of looking at some of the questions based on what, we were going to talk about, it was kind of relating banking to finances and kind of where the banking industry is going. And when people think of banking, this goes back to even my 8-year-old self, the teller was banking. That was all I knew of banking. And
Yeah.
banking is kind of its own world. Like
Mhm.
in the banking environment, you've got all kinds of jobs. You've got the stuff related to money, you've got the stuff related to investing, but you've got the legal department, and you've got the dining room people, and you've got the, philanthropic section. But it's really focused on corporate and institutional kind of clients, big
Yeah.
money, Fortune 500.
Yeah.
If you are really interested in your money and making your money grow for you, you want to look at good, credible, reputable financial planners and financial advisors, not the banking industry. The
Mhm.
banking industry isn't meant for me and you. It's meant for the companies and the corporations. Now, there's a whole family wealth section with the super rich, the Pritzkers, and the big money people. That's not me.
Sure.
We need people who don't make money unless they make us money.
Yeah.
Those are the financial advisors
Mhm.
that I'm talking about, your JP Morgans and
Mhm.
those kind of things. So I don't even compare the two because they're two very different businesses. If you are not the wealthy person, banking is not the route for you in terms of planning your financial future.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Because I noticed maybe I bank with Chase, and they must have noticed my money habits or whatever they have information on. They started sending me like, hey, open up this, come meet with a financial advisor, things like that.
Mhm.
They don't never, ever invited me to do this
Yeah,
stuff.
you hit a list. That last deposit of $50 took you over that threshold that put you on the list. Yeah,
Like, how do you know? Of course you didn't
absolutely.
watch it.
Yeah.
So we talked a bit about budget, and when I first, it was intimidating when people would say, you need to learn how to budget, you need to budget your money, things like that. And I was like, maybe I don't need to budget at first, right? I don't need to budget. I can do this on my own. And I'm like, you don't know where your money is going and how you're spending. And it
Mhm.
wasn't until I had to start writing and listing things out when I'm like, oh, this is where your money is going. It's not that you don't have it. You're doing this, these impulsive buys, or, something you must have forgotten about that hit your account, and you're going out to eat, you're doing too many Taco Tuesdays, something like that. Like, you're doing
Mhm.
these things. But the idea of a budget was it caused anxiety or fear within me, right? Because in a way I felt like I had to confront
You did.
something that I was running from. Right? I see the money is in the account. We good, but no, you need to know how you're telling it where to go. And so do you think a budget is really crucial to financial success?
I think it is absolutely crucial, especially in the earlier. So I don't have a budget per se right now,
Yeah.
but I manage my money online.
Yeah.
All of my bills are online. So
Mhm.
in essence, I have an allotment for my personal credit card that I use for everything, because points, use
Points.
the credit card
Exactly.
and just pay it off at the end of
Yeah.
the month
Yeah.
because points.
Yeah.
So I know where my expenses don't change a lot. I mean, gas bill's about the same, light bill's about the same. I have one credit card that I use for everything,
Me too.
online, gas station, anywhere that I go, again, for points. And I have an alert set. If I exceed what my allotment is for the month, I get an alert. And then it's like, okay,
That's it.
you're going to have to sacrifice something somewhere else if you want to spend that money. But I'm so saving conscious now, and kind of in a place where if I got a good bottle of wine in the house, like there's not a lot that I need. Um, But a budget is crucial. You have
Yeah.
to visually see what's coming in and what's going out and make adjustments. You know, when you see a $300 cable bill, like,
That's- yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but then you've got Netflix,
Yep.
you pay for Netflix and you pay for Hulu, and you
Yeah.
like when you see that, it's a different story than just paying the bill blindly. You know, in your head, you know what it is. It's
Mhm.
very important, and it's important to be honest when you make a budget. It's
Mhm.
only you looking at it, so
Mhm.
don't hide from yourself,
Mhm.
but also adjust it as you go along. And you have to work the budget.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's so fascinating because I used to live by a budget when I was first trying to get out of debt. And then I was able to put all my bills on auto pay last year, which was that was the biggest flex for me because I didn't think that was ever going to be my portion.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, cool. But then I noticed because I know the bills, but then I just start spending more. And I'm like, no, you need to come on, pull it back. Even
Mhm.
if it's on auto pay, you still need to write your budget down
Yeah.
and stick to it. So I had to go back to the basics because I was like, we good now. And then one month I had to pull money out of my savings and it hurt my feelings so bad.
Because it got away from you.
Yep.
You were visually in touch with all.
Nope, I was not. And it hurt my feelings so bad. I just had to go take a nap. And I was just like, all right, now you got to buckle back down.
But you could go to your savings account and
Yes.
transfer that money to cover what you needed to cover.
Mhm.
And that's the peace and that's
Mhm.
the comfort of saving.
Mhm. Mhm.
You may not have wanted to do it because that meant the balance went down,
It did.
but you had it to do.
I did have it to do. And that was a peace of mind. I didn't have to worry about missing a beat or anything like that. All I had to worry about was restocking it. I had to
Yeah.
restock it. And so that's about it. Okay. Where are we at in the questions? We're on number 7. I think you kind of maybe have already answered this.
I think I've answered all of them. Yeah.
You did. Let me see. I feel
No,
like
go ahead.
okay, how do you suggest people prioritize their financial goals, especially if they have multiple financial obligations, debt repayment, retirement saving? Yes, you answered that. You
Yeah,
said
we talked
do it
about
all
that.
the
You've
time.
got to do them simultaneously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I don't want to do the banking question. Can you share any success stories, maybe of clients or not of clients, of people who were able to overcome debt and build wealth under your guidance? And me, I'm probably one of them.
So, yeah, so I want to take 10% credit for you as a client.
Mhm.
But it had less to do with what I said to you and more about the fact that you were ready.
Yeah.
Because you can talk and talk and talk till you're blue in the face. If a person's not ready, it doesn't make a difference. Because I've got a banking background, I have a lot of my friends that call and ask questions, you know, about saving or investing or banking or whatever the case is. I don't always know if they put my advice into practice.
Mhm.
So the success story is, and you know, you said it best, I had to know I needed help and reach out to somebody for help. I
Mhm.
feel honored that they trust me enough to call and ask whatever the question is. And I
Mhm.
give them the best information that I can. I'm guilty of getting off the phone and going to do some more research and, oh yeah, let me send you this. But my success stories, I think, I don't know all of them and I don't expect to know all of them, but I feel grateful to have learned some things along the way and have people trust me enough to call and ask for help.
Mhm. Yeah.
So there's you, there's me. I mean,
Yeah.
I self-saved myself.
Yeah.
And then, you know, who knows? I don't know the other people out there. Maybe
Yeah.
somebody will see this that I've helped and they'll say, you helped me.
Yeah. Someone in the chat put that this conversation is causing them to rethink their financial decisions. So
Oh, wait. Oh. You know, so in the grand scheme of financial acumen, right, it's not really rocket science. 1 + 1 is always going to be 2. You always want to look for the best interest rates. You want to look for the smallest interest rates on any debt that you take. but
Mhm.
it's behavior. It is
Yeah.
making a conscious decision to change the way you do things. The
Yeah.
numbers will always be the numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. So what advice, and I think this is gonna be the last question I ask y'all here. Y'all, if y'all have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat so we can hop into the Q&A. What advice would you give someone who is just like starting out on their journey to financial independence?
I would say, don't think you can't save, right? And if things are just so tight that you don't have an extra dollar to save, find some kind of other income, right? Because sometimes it really is just that tight.
Yep.
But in this new world, post pandemic, where so many things can be done remotely,
Yeah.
it's relatively easy if you got the time to be an Amazon customer service rep.
Yep.
They start people as little as 10 hours a week for part-timers. You don't have to leave home. If you've got kids, it's, when the baby goes to sleep, sometimes you have to make sacrifices to get things jump started. The other thing is, know your worth. Are you in a job that you're not being paid for what you bring to the table? This
Mhm.
is an awesome job market right now, right?
Mhm.
They are paying for good people.
Mhm.
Don't let yourself settle into a job that you're not getting paid for the value that you bring. Don't be afraid to take a step, move to another company, move to another job within the same company.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then, once you get that money started saving, make sure you're taking advantage of the best opportunities for your money to make money.
Mhm. Yeah. Yep. Yep. That sounds good to me. One thing I had to
And
do.
make that coffee at home.
Oh, because that's what gets us. It's that coffee and that eating out that gets us all every time. Every time.
Yep.
So you're gonna have to, y'all know I don't know how to cook for real. So I just go get my stuff from Sam's Club for the week. But I think my advice would be to bet on yourself. Bet on yourself, because it's so easy to believe in everyone else and, support everyone else. And then when it comes to you, you're like, I don't know if I can do it. I can't do it. I've never seen it modeled. So we slip into the blame game or this is how it's always been. And even though it was how it's always been in my life, I'm like, if something has to be better. It can't, my family can't be the only one struggling. Like, I feel like we can get to the next level of where everyone else is, but we've maybe become comfortable in the struggle. And I wasn't able to be comfortable in it. And it was the discomfort of the struggle that pushed me into, not necessarily. I even went to the Uber office. This is all right. Listen, I went to sign up to drive Uber. I never turned on the
I remember
app.
when you did that.
I never turned on the app, but I did go to the office, sign up for Uber and everything because I was that desperate. But it was just a safety component that I could not do it. I just could not do it. And then I said, okay, Brianna, you are gifted and talented. What can you do? Start a publishing company,
Yeah.
write books. I had to use my gifts and talents and monetize that. And then I was able to get, create the wealth faster. I just couldn't depend on one stream of income. And now, I have all of these other streams happening. I feel like I work 6 jobs sometimes. But they get me to where I want to be
Where you want to
sooner
be.
than later. And I'm able-bodied and I have the ability to do it. Does that mean that means I also sacrifice a lot of things? Can't go out like that. I'm not sleeping all day, but the sacrifice is a momentary sacrifice. And I would rather, I always tell people, we're all going to pay in this life. Either you're going to pay on the front end or the back end. I always try to pay on the front end because I don't want to pay interest. Like, I don't want to pay interest on my decisions. Okay, let's hop into the chat, Andanella. Let's see where we have. Okay, so Acacia asks, how do you manage anxieties associated with unplanned expenses, even though you have a savings?
Yeah. So you're gonna have the anxiety.
Mhm.
If, I'm sorry, tell me her name again.
Acacia. And let me
Acacia.
tell you about this because she was one of my former students when I first got to UNLV.
Okay.
So yeah.
If she was watching the screen when you talked about being able to put your money on auto pay and then oops, having to dip into your savings account in order to cover some stuff, that's anxiety.
Yeah.
It's always going to be there, and it's not always a bad thing. It keeps you honest.
Mhm.
So don't look at it as debilitating anxiety. Think about it as kind of that the angel and the devil on your shoulder. And it's the devil saying, okay, we're going to do this. Thank God we have this money to do it, but then we need to get it back.
Mhm.
Because money is a tool, and it's great when it's in the bank, but it has a purpose. It is intended to make our lives better.
Yeah.
It's intended to be the safety net. It's intended to be the emergency fund. But don't, when you deplete it or when you have to use some of it, your focus needs to be with getting it back.
Mhm.
Life's gonna happen. We can't spaz out about the things that happen in life because life is gonna happen. You just thankful that you have it, but then you work really hard to get it back. Sometimes that, you double up, you go 4 weeks without coffee instead of 2, so you can get that money back
Yeah.
quick. But yeah, don't let the anxiety become paralyzing.
Mhm.
It's temporary. You're going to borrow from your savings and then you're going to put it back.
Mhm. Love
So
that.
breathe.
Yeah, life is gonna happen. And it doesn't make you a failure if you have to dip into it, you know?
Absolutely, because you have it the success in that is you have it to dip into.
Yep.
That's kind of what it's there for.
Yep. Yep. All right. Kasia asks one more question. She says, have you ever had to deal with friends who always seem to gloat that they're in a much better financial situation than you?
So I have encountered people who like to toot their own horn. Nobody knows my financial situation but me.
Sure.
And I want the best for everybody. So, when they're tooting their horn, they really don't know what they're tooting their horn against because it's my business and nobody in the world knows. But also sometimes the loudest people are the most insecure people. And what they're really doing is trying to make themselves seem better.
Mhm.
Be
Mhm.
better, baby.
Mhm.
Doesn't affect me at all.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I've had some friends who have, I don't think my friends felt this way. I don't know. I've had some people who may have told some friends of mine that they felt that I was probably lying on the internet about, my financial success and things like that. And they didn't feel that I needed to be as vocal. And my response to that is always, we don't have enough people who are vocal. And I'm showing you that I'm one from among you. I'm not doing this to gloat. I'm just saying, hey, look, if I can start from here and you've been rocking with me, you've seen the ups, the downs, the sadness, the wins, all the things, right? And so I need you to know that it's possible. So of course I am vocal about it because for so long, people in our community, we have not believed that it was possible,
Yeah.
right? And we have not believed that financial success, we can achieve it at a young age and, we can, that the principles work. I always try to take away the excuses from people.
Mhm.
And so when I do that, I'm like, no, this is very instructive. I took you on a journey. I tell you what I'm doing. And now you see the highlight reel. But if you go down my Instagram page,
Right.
no spend Monday.
There were steps to get
There
here.
were steps to this. So Acacia, I'll take my aunt advice because okay. So she gave us a little bit of
Context.
and she's young. And she says, for background to my second question, I'm a diplomat and it seems like everyone around me is doing so much better than me. And she's young and she's a diplomat now.
But what's young?
So I think Acacia's like mid-20s.
Okay. So it doesn't matter what other people are doing. What matters is that you make up your mind that you're going to set your financial success in motion. Whether your friends are 20 or 50, it doesn't matter. They're not They can't become financially sound and safe for you. It's your journey. If they have tidbits to share, like Brianna does, learn the lessons, but don't compare yourself to other people.
Yeah.
Because nobody is going to tell you 100% every bit of their journey, their business. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Figure out your path and get to getting it.
Work the play that's for your life.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Vanessa says, how do you start an ROI? What's an ROI, Vanessa? You mean a Roth? Nikki says, this has been extremely beneficial. Such a great conversation. Thank you for helping us rewrite the narrative on talking about finances and not being ashamed to talk about it.
Yes.
Vanessa, what's an ROI? Did you mean a Roth?
Return on investment? Is she?
What'd you say?
No, ROI is return on investment. But I don't know if she was if there's what the question was.
Yeah, I'm waiting for her to put it in. Janae said, I started a high yield savings account as well. Can't wait to see it grow.
And you guys check out credit unions.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a member of a specific company. You can join a credit union either by a referral, or sometimes you can pay $25 to a charitable make a $25 charitable contribution and become a member. But the credit unions are outpacing interest rates for banks like fourfold. You know, I still have a savings account at the bank that I worked at because it's my kind of today money.
Yeah.
And it's not even 1%.
Not even at all. When I was listing the high yield savings accounts for the people that I love, the one that has outpaced is the Goldman Sachs at 5.15%.
Okay.
But my bank would never. My bank would never.
And if you check the credit union that you and I know in the next couple of days, you'll see another hike.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Let me see if Vanessa responded. Oh, she says Roth. How do you open a Roth?
Yeah, so just pick a reputable company. I like Fidelity personally, but Fidelity, Vanguard, they all offer the Roth IRAs. And you can start it with, I want to say $25. Like, it doesn't have to be a big deposit to open it.
Yeah.
Make sure that you, because there's a limit to how much you can put into a Roth IRA, because there's traditional Roth and then there's the Roth IRA. The Roth IRA is, you definitely are looking to the future because you put that money in pre-tax or post-tax, and then when it's time to retire and pull it down, you pull it down tax-free after 59 and a half.
Yeah.
So, but you know, start it now. Start a mutual fund with $25 and add $10 a pay period. Like $10 is savings. It's money in the bank. Put it in the bank. It doesn't have to be big money. Start small.
When I opened my Fidelity, I was looking for who gives me a reward to open an account, and Fidelity gave, if you deposit 100, they give you 100.
They give you 100. Yep.
And that's exactly what I did. Yep. And I'm like, I need the rewards.
Absolutely. There's free money out there.
There's free money out there. Acacia says, I'm going to make my spouse watch this. Thank you so much for your time, Ms. Hughes. You are also awesome, and I'm inspired by both of you. Thank you, Acacia.
Yeah, thank you for watching.
Yeah. Do y'all have any more questions before I let my auntie go? We've been on here almost an hour and a half. Let me know if y'all have any more questions about money, things like that. Y'all know I go hard on money all the time. So, you know, and you know why? It's because, you know, I've learned that poverty is a mentality. And I struggled with it at one time. And so now I hate it. I hate it because I see what it does to people.
Yeah.
And it steals hope and your dreams and everything like that. And so if I can save someone by screaming to the top of my lungs, it's possible. I came from the South Side, you know, I didn't have legs up.
And
And-
hope is everything, Brianna. You hope, yeah. If the hope is gone, yeah,
Yeah, if the hope is gone, you're not gonna press forward. You're not gonna try
Yeah.
to see a better day.
yeah.
But yeah, so I just, I don't look like nobody had. All right. No. My mom says, thank you for a wonderful conversation.
You're welcome.
Vanessa says, thank you so much. I appreciate both of you. Okay, I think we're good. Thank you,
Okay.
Aunt Danella.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Y'all, thank my Aunt Danella. Like the video, share it, listen to it as many times as you need to. We were here to pour into you. And I hope you all have a great financial future because it's possible for you.
Start today.
Start today.
Start today.
All right,
Yeah.
Aunt, let me